guys, welcome back to another video. Today is going to be a very special day. I am down here at Evolve Automotive and I'm trying out Imran's gorgeous Viper green M3 behind me. But before we start that, we're going to have a quick walk around of the car itself. This is my good buddy Imran.
Hi Joe, how's it going?
Yeah, very good, thanks mate, very good. Thanks for having us down here.
No, always a pleasure Joe, always a pleasure.
There's always so much to look at down here, and in fact this is a new premises to when I was down here last about a year ago, and I'm actually down here to get some MSS springs fitted to my M2 Competition, which is somewhere behind us on a ramp down there, so make sure you check out that video. For those of you that don't know much about Imran, Evolve, Venturi, which is their other venture over there, please make sure you check out the Evolve YouTube channel. Tell us a little bit about that car before we get onto your Viper.
Yeah, so that's a F90 M5, so we got it very early on, so it's a non-compact version. It's running a full Super Sprint exhaust, Venturi intakes, and it's currently making around 780 horsepower. 700. There's 0 to 60 in 2.7 seconds, and I've done a quarter mile in 10.27.
10.27.
Yeah, it's really fast.
That is just insane. But yet, I've driven it and I've been a passenger in it. It still retains all of the M5 magic, which is kind of what you guys, I think, specialise in down here. It's all very well ramping up, 800 horsepower into something and ruining the ride and the delivery and all the rest of it.
We did used to be like that, but now it's all about, I think as I'm getting older and our customer base is getting older, it's about making a well-rounded car.
Yeah.
So it's fast, but then it has to be able to handle properly as well. Because M cars, let's face it, they're not straight line warriors, although that one can go really fast. They're about the handling, and, that's what we like to kind of emphasise now. It has to be an all-round package.
Sure, yeah. No, and that's hopefully what I'm going to discover today in Viper behind me. Now let's have a quick walk around this car and have a look at what's changed compared to a stock M3 Competition, which it's based on.
Yeah, so this started life off as a 2017 stock competition pack, and we've made a lot of changes to it. So I can start at the front and maybe work our way around.
Yeah, absolutely.
So but I wanted to go for an OEM type of feel to the modifications. So that's an OEM GTS bonnet.
Yep.
Which is also features on the M3 CS.
Of course.
And that's OE M4 GTS front splitter.
Okay.
And I think that combination works really well on the front of the car. The lower splitter, it's not actually the original one. I have the original one. Because it's so prone to breaking and it's really expensive, this is basically a replica of the OE one, but made in really hard plastic.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's from 4-line in America. So a lot of GTS owners were complaining about breaking their lower splitter.
Yep.
So they made one in perspex essentially, so you can put it on and not worry about it. It can scuff up as much as it wants.
Sure.
When you want to sell the car, you just stick the original one.
Fantastic. Yeah, well, I think the front end of this just looks to die for. I mean, that bonnet, I love the carbon bonnet.
Yeah, the bonnet's beautiful.
And I love the front end. It just looks so aggressive. Let's face it, a standard regular F80 M3 looks pretty aggressive anyway. Yeah. But what you've done to it just adds it, adds all that aggression.
Yeah, and I think we mentioned the colour as well, because this is a Verde Mantis, so it's actually a Lamborghini colour.
Yep.
So it was an individual option when the car was ordered, and that obviously makes the car stand out.
Of course, and that is very special, yeah, because most of you, I'm sure, watching this right now probably have thought up to that point that maybe it's a wrap or something, but this is actually an individual colour.
And the amount of people that ask me if it's a wrap, you get bored of answering the question. It's definitely not a wrap.
Yeah, this is not a wrap, but you can understand why, I suppose, because I've never seen another one in this colour, and it's just great. I wish there was more individual colour M cars out there, because they just look fantastic. Yeah,
so the wheels are 660 Crypto, so that's a one-piece forged wheel.
Okay.
And they are 2 kgs lighter than the stock 666 OEMs that this came with.
Wow.
Yeah, so 2 kg per corner rotating mass you're saving, which is huge.
That's unbelievable. Yeah. And you've, like you said, you've stuck with 19s.
Yep. For handling.
Yeah, for handling. And yeah, actually, I say you stuck with the normal one comes on 20. Yeah.
Yeah, I dropped down
which is brilliant. Which is what, in my opinion, with the CS, I think the fact that fronts are 19s. Aside from any of the suspension and stuff, I think just that extra tyre cushioning really gives you a bit more, a bit better handling and a bit more of a pliant front end.
I fully agree with you. I think that's why they went for the 19 and 20, and the GTS actually runs
the same thing. Yeah, staggered setup. Okay, talking about suspension, what we got going on?
So we've got the MSS height adjustable springs on this, but we've paired them up with some custom Bilstein EDC dampers, which we've been working with them on. So that's replaces the electronic dampers the car has. So you still have the full functionality of the Comfort, Sport and Sport Plus. But the way we've differed it from the Bilstein one is that we've asked them to make it softer in Comfort,
okay,
and a bit harder in Sport Plus.
Yep.
And we're finding that's a really good combination with the MSS springs. I'm running PS4S tyres, which you like. They are the best, let's be honest.
Have
There's
I mentioned Michelin before on my channel?
No, you never. But I've seen that you have Michelin on your cars. I assume that you like.
Oh, okay, yeah. No matter what people say, M cars are fun, but yeah, in the UK they tend to be overly stiff.
Yes,
and they skip across the surface, yeah, which for your average punter gives a bit of excitement. But if you're trying to push on and actually trying to get down the road without ending up in a field, you know, you want something that's a bit more pliant and works well. So super excited about trying that out with the lighter wheels, etc.
Cool. So we go around. So the side skirt is made by my friends in America. That's by RKP.
Okay. Really nice. Again, just fits with everything else.
Yeah, and the rears we're running 11-inch width wheels on the rear with a 305 tyre, so to try and give as much grip as
much
possible.
traction. And what are they normally, 10-inch on the back?
Yeah, 10.
Okay, yeah. So that just, it gives the sort of the spacer effect, if you like.
Yeah, so these wheels, there's no spacers on this car.
No.
The wheels are machined to be perfect.
To be perfect.
Yeah.
And look at the way they fit. I mean, that is just...
And that's no rubbing. There's like, that tyre does not rub on the whatsoever. So coming around the back, we've got the black line. These are the M Performance lights, basically.
Okay.
From BMW. What I found with the red against the green, it really clashes for me.
Sure.
So I'm not really a fan of black line lights a lot of the time, but I think on the green car, it kind of had to be done. Every time I looked at the car, it looked like, you know, when you see a cartoon and it's a cartoon alligator and it's a woman and it's got lipstick. It just reminded me of that all the time. I was like,
wow, you've got a weird sense of imagination here, man.
That's how I think of crazy things, right? So the rear diffuser is by Carbon 1.5.
Okay.
And that wraps all the way around, and it's like the best fitting rear diffuser I've seen. If you get some of the details on that, it's just completely flush to everything.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. In fact, yeah, the close. Sometimes with a lot of carbon fitment stuff, especially if it's not good, the closer you get, the worse it looks.
Correct.
But with this one, it's the opposite. The closer you get, the more details and stuff you see.
Absolutely.
Lovely. And is that a CS rear spoiler, or is that?
It's not a CS. This is by a company called Boca.
Okay.
Design, and it's like the one I like the shape of.
Yep.
The most.
Looks lovely.
And then the exhaust is Evolve Titanium.
Okay.
And at the moment we're running a D-cat. Normally I run the normal cat because I prefer the sound.
Sure.
Without the D-cat, because when you D-cat these cars, the S55 sounds really raspy.
Yep.
So I actually prefer running stock cat on the car, but at the moment we were doing some testing, so it's just gone to D-cat at the moment.
Okay, well that'd be interesting to see what that sounds like out on the road.
So that's the exterior taken care of, so I guess we can pop the bonnet now.
Yeah, and just quickly before you do, interior, okay, so there's not too many things going on in here, but we've got the lovely MMR paddles. Is that right?
Really nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which are just, really beautiful to touch and hold. I'll obviously talk more about them on the road. And also, when you open the door, just little details, look at that. Green carbon on the back of the seats. Oh. So for those of you that aren't familiar with Evolve, Imran is partnered up and he runs eVenturi, which is that side of the warehouse essentially.
Yeah.
And eVenturi will make a number of sexy carbon things, but I've got one on my car, so I've basically got an intake very similar to this. It's a slightly different layout in the M2, but as you can see again, this has got the green carbon, which just contrasts so well with the normal carbon and the green paintwork. But you've got a couple of extra bits in there, and please tell us about the intake and what else I can see under there.
Yeah, so we've got the carbon engine cover as well, just to finish the engine bay off, and this is a new product which we're trialing at the moment, and that's carbon fiber charge pipes, which I don't believe anyone's actually done on S55 engine before.
Yeah, they look great, and in fact I have to say, when I first opened the bonnet I didn't notice them.
Yeah,
and
they're
then
stealth.
yeah, they're very stealth. And then so that's amazing. Charge pipes in carbon.
Yeah, and power wise we're running a CSF external rad for the charge cooler, and then at the moment, I mean, I have had hybrid turbos on this car and ran it at around 600 horsepower, but for normal road use I prefer running it at around 520.
Yep.
525. So right at the moment we're running stock turbos and what I would call like our stage 1. So I can push this to 550 the way it is now.
Yep.
But I actually prefer driving it slightly lower powered.
Yeah, low.
For
yeah.
normal road use. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, just over 500 horsepower, mate. That's just it's going to be so slow. Well, that's I mean, from someone who we're actually just talking off camera about how fantastic the X-Drive system is in the M5 and the M8s, and I think when you're so used to just putting your foot down and deploying nearly 800 horsepower, and you get back in one of these,
it's tricky.
And you do realise that actually 500-ish is about where you want it, isn't it? Unless you're doing VMAX runs or whatever. I mean, anything more, you need to be very good at driving, or you need to have a very nice climate with very sticky tyres.
Yeah, which we have for like 3 months of the year.
3 days.
3 days of the year. So, I mean, we've done as much as possible to get the extra traction. You know, we've tried to go 305s on the back. I've also updated the various pieces of software, the GTS software.
Sure.
We've got GTS steering software, GTS DCT, GTS EDIF, and GTS traction.
Okay.
So all of that helps to allow the car to have a little bit more slip before, like if you're in MDM mode, before it intervenes.
Yep.
And it's actually really good upgrade to just make the car feel a lot better.
Sure. I'm keen to feel all that, because I know the MDM, especially over the years when it first came out in the original F80s, like 2014, it was terrible. It was very on and off.
It was sketchy. That's why
sketchy.
so many people wrote the cars off, those early ones.
Because one minute it seemed to be reeling in the power, and you could be quite aggressive with the throttle, and next minute there'd be no reeling in, and you'd just spin around on yourself. So you're actually better off having it off altogether in the early days, or on altogether.
Well, that's what happened to my first F80 M3, which was the signal green one.
Yes.
It got written off at 2,000 miles.
Well, did you run out of talent?
I know, somebody else was driving it. It was actually a journalist who wrote it off,
no
I'm
way.
not saying who it was.
Oh, say no more. Okay.
So please bring it back in one piece. No pressure.
No, you've really got me worried. No pressure at all. Yeah, no, I'm not. No, I mean, it's too much of an iconic car to go out and absolutely cane it. But like I said, I'm more interested really in just feeling what the ride's like and how drivable it is. You know, it'd be great to take it out on some private land or Brunting thought one day and really get to push it. Have we covered pretty much everything?
I think that's pretty much everything.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to jump inside and take it off just as it's starting to rain outside.
Good timing.
Great timing. Okay guys, I can't believe I'm actually driving this car. I've followed its progress for years and absolutely love it. I've seen it in the flesh a lot of times. I've actually heard it a few times as well, but I'm so thankful that Imran's letting me drive it. It's not ideal conditions outside, it's a little bit slippery, but as we talked about with the walk around, I'm on the fantastic Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's, which are great tyres for this sort of weather. And remember, I've got 305 section rear tyres. That's like 911 GT3 width. It's just crazy, absolutely insane. I've got all my normal default F80 series presets. So I've got the throttle mapping in sports, which is middle setting. I've got the suspension in comfort, which we'll talk about in a second, and I've got the steering in comfort as well. It's so loud, this car. Now what's it like? I've actually had it on the road for about half an hour whilst doing drive-bys and stuff, or flybys, and it is unbelievable. Firstly, this is a great section of road, but I can tell you now it's not particularly smooth, and I've been down here in other cars that get thrown all over the place, and although this car feels so planted and so solid and stiff in one sense, it's also so pliant in another, which is exactly what you want. So it's not skipping across the surface, it's just finding the road, the tarmac all the time. There's so much to take in. I've only got this car for about an hour, and I mean, I'm just quite blown away by it. It feels very much like the beloved M3 CS, but turned up a couple of notches, because we're talking over 520 horsepower, and it feels it, trust me. It really, really feels it when you put your foot down. It absolutely flies, and in fact in this weather, even with those 305 section tyres, it's almost impossible to put your foot down. It just feels special. I can see that lovely CS stroke GTS bonnet in front of me, especially as it's in bright green. It just looks fantastic. Everything just seems perfect in this car. The calibrations are amazing, the gearbox, oh, everything, it's just lovely, and I'm just tickling it. I would love to try this out on a track and really give it some, because it feels like it has so much potential. And listen to it. Imran, you sure this has only got 520 horsepower? Feels like a lot more than that. Fantastic car, I have to say. Kind of what I'm going to summarise is it just feels set up beautifully. It feels very light on its feet. I'm sure much thanks to the suspension setup and the lightweight wheels. It's just brilliant. I don't know why I pulled second through there, because you just don't need it. This thing's got so much torque. Oh, what a car. It's just brilliant. What a car. I would love to try it again when it's a bit warmer and the roads are a bit drier, and you can actually lay down some of that 520 odd brake horsepower, because it just feels mighty. I think there's so much more. I've literally just scratched the surface today, and what a surface it was. What a car. What a brilliant, brilliant car. This is so far removed from, say, a 2014 M3 non-competition package that wanted to kill you everywhere. You couldn't get the power down. The ride was pretty horrendous. This is literally the sort of the final edition, if you like. Just like the CS out of the box is a fantastic car, this is just brilliant. I mean, it just feels so sorted everywhere, everything about it. But you know, there's been a lot of stuff done to this car, and that's why I take my hat off to the boys at Evolve. Imran, thanks so much for letting me drive this car. Really appreciate it. Guys, make sure you do go over and follow them on Instagram and on their YouTube channel, because there's so much of this car on their channel. There's so much that they get up to. A lot of VMAX runs and a lot of really technical stuff that they do back at base. Thanks a lot for watching as always. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and make sure you subscribe for more content like this to come. Cheers.